15 member organizations, and their names are listed on the event program. And as part of the fabric that makes up the city of San Antonio, the Asian community would like to be more actively involved in the civic process. So we are very delighted to host this forum for our San Antonio Asian community, but also community at large. And for practical reasons, the board decided to just invite 3 candidates today for the forum. I would like to take this opportunity to thank former Bexar County Commissioner Tommy Atkinson, Texas State Senator Leticia Bantabu, and Texas State Representative Mike Villarreal for participating in today's forum. But we want you to know that there are a total of 9 candidates running for the mayoral race, and we encourage you to go to other forums between now and the election time to learn about their views and visions for our city. I know that some of them are here this morning, and I would like to recognize them at this time so you can visit with them later. Mr. Raymond Zavala, and also Cynthia Grant. And if other candidates come in, we will also, oh, I see also Red Smith is here. So you can have the opportunity to visit with them later. Yes, and of course, Paul Martinez is also here. We also have 2 elected officials here with us this morning, and I want to say and congratulate for all those of you who put your head in the ring, because public service, it is a sacrifice in many ways. We certainly have my councilman from District 9, Joe Grier is here. Thank you, Councilman. And also, we're using this beautiful facility for Northeast Independent School District, and we also have the board member, Sandy Hugh, is here. So thank you very much. I also would like to thank the event sponsors who helped make this event possible. Alamo Asian American Chamber of Commerce, BB&T Bank, and South Texas Merchants Association. I also want to thank Bexar County Election Office for having Ms. Shoemaker here this morning. So if you are not yet registered to vote, please go see her and get registered. I also understand that we have other candidates that are running for offices, or other offices. And if you would like to sign up at the registration table, I'll be able to recognize you later before we conclude the program. In order to ensure a smooth flow of the program, we ask the audience to be courteous to all candidates. Our moderator today is Provost Dr. Andrew Hampton from St. Mary's University. He received his BA in Plant 2 at University of Texas Liberal Arts Program in 1979 and a Master's of Public Affairs from the University of Texas. He graduated from the University of Texas School of Law with honors in 1984 and was a member of the Texas Law Review. Dr. Hampton has been at St. Mary's University for over 20 years. While at St. Mary's, he has served in various administrative and leadership roles, including Associate Dean for Administration at the St. Mary's School of Law and 5 years as President of the Faculty Senate. And now I will turn the program to Dr. Hampton.
Thank you, Ms. Chan. Welcome to everyone here on this event. I'm here to set the rules. Being a former professor, it's like a class. So here are the rules. Each candidate will be given 3 minutes to respond to the questions. No, I'm sorry, you'll be given 3 minutes to do your opening remarks to let the audience know about it. You'll be given 2 minutes to answer the questions that will be posed. And at the conclusion, you will each have 2 minutes to present a closing statement. There will be a total of 6 questions presented to the candidates. These will cover the areas of economic development, infrastructure, public safety, education, diversity, and the police union contract. You will be given the opportunity to answer the questions on a rotating basis, so no one will be required to go first or last each time. We have a timekeeper who will notify you of the time that you have allotted. You will get a warning at the 1 minute mark, the 30-second mark, and the 15-second mark. There will be no penalties for exceeding your time, but in the interest of etiquette, please adhere to the time frames. At the conclusion, we will be receiving audience questions that will be sent out via note cards, and there will be an opportunity to respond to audience participation questions. Are the rules clear? Is the format clear? Okay, so we're all ready. Okay. And I will sit down for the duration. Thank you. The first question we have is, Senator Vanderputte, please give opening remarks.
Good morning. Oh, this is San Antonio. I know we can do better than that. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you very much. My thanks to the Asian American Alliance and to the Asian Chamber. I'm grateful to be here this morning, and I think that this signifies so much that the first true mayoral forum is right here and sponsored by this very, very wonderful group. My name, thank you. My name is Leticia Vanderputte, and for 3 generations, our family has called San Antonio home. But for 6 generations, the San Miguel family has thrived in Texas. I'm a pharmacist and have been for over 35 years, and a proven effective legislator for over 20. Pete and I, and my husband is here today, Pete Vanderputte, my husband of 37 years, have built our small businesses here. We have raised 6 children here, and now we are focusing on 6 nearly perfect grandchildren. And we have been able to be in San Antonio, and so lucky that 5 of our 6 children, after being away, have returned home after college or working out of state, back here to build their own families. I know that I can bring that type of leadership that I showed at the legislature to convene, and my business experience as a small business owner, as a healthcare professional, bring those leadership skills to City Hall. My vision for San Antonio is a bold one. It is one where every child and every neighborhood and every business owner, every family, every worker has a fair shot. It is one where we respect one another and that everyone has a seat at the table. I know that our best days of San Antonio are ahead of us. And I also am so proud of the fact that we work together. I will use those sets that I learned as my family, because we have a very large family. In fact, Pete says that we agree with each other louder than most families disagree. But it's about bringing everyone to the table. It's about cultivating that change and not dictating it. And let me make this abundantly clear. I will spend each day and each moment working to improve the lives of the people who live in this community, of making sure that our businesses can thrive and that they're proud, and we celebrate the achievement of our workers. I know with your support, we can make San Antonio the next great American city. Thank you. I look forward to your questions and the participation this morning.
I want to thank the Alamo Asian American Alliance for bringing us together today in this debate. I think any candidate running for mayor needs to answer a single question, a very important question. Why do you want to take on this large responsibility? For me, the answer is simple. I have a single heartfelt goal. That is to make San Antonio a city of opportunity for our children. I want our kids who earn a college degree to know that San Antonio is the best place to launch their careers. And those that acquire new 21st century skills to be able to get ahead here in our city. Everything I do as mayor of San Antonio will be focused on that single goal. For me, it starts with my own children, Bella and Manos. I have this selfish goal. I want them to realize their potential here in our city. I want them to launch their careers, start their families here in our beloved city. How do we do this? Three things that I will focus on, three objectives are: number one, I will keep our finances as a city rock solid. Number two, I will focus our investments in infrastructure. Number three, I will be a mayor who is a partner with civic and community leaders like yourselves here in our city. On fiscal health, we have a AAA credit rating. We need to make sure that is protected, because when we do, we can issue bonds at the lowest cost to invest in infrastructure. We can keep our taxes low. We have a growing population, fast growing. That means street repair, secure our water supply, make sure that our parks are growing with our growing population. And finally, as a partner, as mayor, I will be a partner to the commanders of our military bases, because we need to make sure that they are competitive with others around the country, that they're best poised to expand their employment base. In education, I will be a partner with our principals, our superintendents, our university presidents, because we know today in our economy, we will see advancement when our children grow in their mental, intellectual capacity. And that's very critical. Finally, I will be a new kind of mayor. If elected, I will be the first with a background in economics and finance who can really bring to bear my skills and experience to move the needle on infrastructure investment and growing our economy. And I will be a mayor who builds and brings to office a governing coalition of the brightest, most compassionate, most dedicated citizens who want to move the needle on these objectives, regardless of party. I will protect City Hall from partisanship in the rest of our country. Thank you.
Good morning. If you don't mind, I'm going to sit here so I stay within the navigational beacons here of my statement. I'm Tommy Atkinson, and I'm running for mayor of San Antonio because it's time that we get back to basics and refocus our energy and our resources on the core functions of our city. Over the past few years, a lot of time and a lot of money has been expended on some important projects, but parts of these projects robbed resources from our core functions and kept us from really focusing on the things that matter most to San Antonio families. I'm a family man, and my wife Karen and I are both small business owners. I was born at the Santa Rosa Hospital, but I was raised on the South Side. I worked my way through the University of Texas at Austin, served 3 years as an investigator for DA Ted Butler, and graduated from law school at South Texas College of Law in Houston. I've represented San Antonio in the Texas House of Representatives for 2 terms. The Texas House gave me a chance to learn about the wide variety of issues like education, healthcare, and criminal justice. What really sets me apart in this race is my local service here at home as the Precinct 4 Bexar County Commissioner for 16 years. In that role, I represented about 1/4 of the population of our county and around 45% of its total area. In that office, I gained invaluable experience in the areas that really matter to San Antonio taxpayers. investing in infrastructure projects that create local jobs, recruiting large employers like Toyota, investing in public safety to reduce crime, and reducing response times for our EMS and firemen. Also, while in office, the county has established from ground zero a library network and as well as an animal control department. I have the proven track record and the knowledge that only comes from local experience. I'm ready to lead on day one. I plan to be a stay-at-home mayor. I will not be traveling around the country giving speeches or looking down the road at the next office. My commitment is to be here physically, mentally, and emotionally. I will spend every day thinking about how we can solve San Antonio problems and creating new partnerships so that we can get the best and the brightest San Antonians working together to address our shared challenges. Thank you for having me here today, and I look forward to visiting with each of you after today's forum.
Success of small businesses.
We need to get the fundamentals right. We need to keep our taxes low. We need to keep our regulations sane. And we need to help our small businesses have access to capital. That last part is very critical for our small businesses. We have actually some successes to build on here locally. We have the LIFT Fund, formerly known as Acción Texas. This is the nation's largest micro lender in our country, giving out loans to small businesses, helping them thrive. We need to be partners with LIFT and help our small businesses have access so that they can make the important investments and bring to life their business plans. They have the work ethic, they have the business plans. What they mostly need in our city is access to capital. The LIFT Fund is currently delivering on that. I will be a supporter of that organization. I will recognize that they are already existing partners in running cafe commerce. That's a great program that is helping hundreds of small businesses in our city. That needs to continue. Ultimately, when I pursue economic development opportunities, I'm always going to keep in mind that employment in our city, over 80% of it, is being generated by small businesses. And so while I will be leading an administration that is going to aggressively pursue big employers like the next Toyota or the next Rackspace for our city, I am also going to be very cognizant that it's our small businesses that grow here, that thrive and employ so many of our fellow neighbors that need a city that gets the fundamentals right. Low taxes, sane regulations, and access to capital. Thank you.
Senator Van.
Thank you so much. You know, I see people in this room today, and I have met young people who began their own businesses. People like Terry Nagasaki, who left the corporate world to live her dream and start a business 2 years ago. Those of us who have worked for other folks, we think we have tough bosses. But the day you become a small business owner, you're the toughest boss you will ever have. Because every single penny, every bit of that bottom line translates back to your family. And you treat your employees as family. And I know that, having owned a pharmacy and medical clinic, and we know that, and owners as a small business and flag company here in San Antonio. The number one thing we can do for our small businesses is make sure that you have a city hall that is working harder than you are. When we have the types of infrastructure needs and improvements, we shouldn't have a street closure that damages a business so bad and constant delays, or for businesses now that want to expand and they have setback after setback, different inspectors. So first of all, get the job you're supposed to be doing now and get it done right. Needless delays, endless bureaucracy, when all we want to do as small business owners is open that door, flip open that closed to open sign, open up that computer. And it is about our families. It is about our employees. You get that right, and then the overall picture is to understand that the city is a very large purchaser of services. We need to make sure that everyone gets a seat at the table, that the opportunities are there for in-city contracting, whether that's CPS, SAWS, and all of our agencies, that they're given a fair shot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have been the principal leader in the county's initiative that led to the creation and successful implementation of the county's small, minority, and women-owned business initiative. Obviously, there are 5 members of the court, but there was very little being done when I got to the court there in the year of 1999. It was a shadow of what it is today. It is much more robust. Since its inception, Bexar County has achieved a 29% small, minority, women-owned business participation rate for all county contracts, has maintained a 28% MBE and a 30% SBE rate. Eventually, this included all county tax abatements and funding entities and facilities for the county. Now, this is compared to when only a few years ago, just as the city was making plans for a 2012 bond issue, only 19% of city construction contractors were women, minority-owned small businesses, and only 13% of all city contractors were women, minority-owned small businesses. Now, I think that's completely unacceptable, and if the county can do it, so can the city. And as your next mayor, I will continue to be a champion of small and minority businesses because they are job creators and a significant part of the backbone of our economy. And it's plainly the right thing to do to ensure that everyone gets a fair shake at doing business with our city. The Swimbies need a champion like me, especially in 2015, because the city is most likely gearing up for another bond issue in 2017, and projects will likely be decided based on some decision made next year.
Thank you very much. For the citizens and the people who call San Antonio home, the most important thing is the safety of its citizens. We want to make sure that as business owners, when they shut their businesses at night, they don't dread receiving a call in the middle of the night that someone has broken into their businesses. We want neighborhoods where our children can play in the front yard. We want to make sure that this is the city that protects its children, but that also realizes that our economic vibrancy is tied to small business and those opportunities. Focus 1 will be public safety and infrastructure. We need to continue that. We have a strong fiscal profile in a AAA bond. We are blessed. In other communities across this state, they do not own their own electric or their water company. The citizens of San Antonio own those. But we need to make sure that that infrastructure and planning for transportation, that public safety, that we just stick to the basics. For my 3 priorities, it's also to work with our leaders here to make sure that we've got that educated workforce. We can't hire those trained workers unless they've gone to those wonderful schools. Those 3 priorities, public safety, infrastructure, and our educational level, all tie in to a bright future for San Antonio.
Very good. I think that the first thing we all have to reach for is public safety. If you don't feel secure in your homes, then it's not much of a home. Unfortunately, there are neighborhoods that have been left adrift and, in my opinion, have not yet gotten the emphasis they need. Coming from the neighborhood movement, if you will call it such, I founded my own neighborhood association about 36 years ago. I'm still an officer in it because I need to have an assurance that that place is going to continue. There's probably about 500 neighborhood associations throughout San Antonio, and I thought it was interesting in the 2020 report that they were listed number 3 behind 2 other groups. I thought, wait a minute, let's start with the neighbors here. If you have a good neighborhood, you've got security well underway. But you do need a great police force, and you need a great firefighting force. And that should start with settling the dust on this silliness going on getting to the bargaining table and resolving our differences. I did it as a family lawyer for about 36 years, and I will tell you, some of the most warring, most hateful people walk through our courthouse. But you get them into a room together with the fear of having to go in front of the judge if they don't resolve it. Things start getting settled. Neighborhoods, public safety, transportation, obviously must be dealt with, and I have been behind several efforts to try to get funding, but I have opposed toll roads as the first source of funding. There are other ways to do it first. That's what we need to do, and that's what I'll be fighting for as your mayor.
Thank you. So the question was, how are we going to make sure that we can deliver on basic services? At the top of my list, when I think about basic services, is in fact police and fire protection. That is the first obligation of our city government, and we need to get that right. We are in a dispute right now between our city government and our police officers union and firefighters union. That needs to be settled. We need a new contract that is nationally competitive, that attracts the best talent in public safety and keeps them here. But it needs to also be financially sustainable. Public safety costs cannot run faster than our revenue. That is important because our city has other responsibilities. We have library services, we have parks, we have waste control, we have road repair, we have all these other basic services that over time, if we don't get this contract right, are going to be crowded out and pushed off the budget. And so this is the single most important decision facing City Hall today. If it is not resolved, I will be the mayor that is focused like a lightning beam on this, like a laser beam on this issue, making sure that we get the parties to the table and that we recognize we truly have common ground here. We have two fundamental interests. One is getting right on public safety, attracting the best talent, but number two is making sure that our finances are kept rock solid, because we have a fast-growing population that needs road repair and help getting unstuck from traffic and all the other concerns that any major city has. Thank you.
Communities.
Well, I think it gets right back down to making sure that we stabilize the San Antonio Police Department as well as the San Antonio Fire Department. I think we have one of the finest police departments in the country, bar none. I think it's generally been well compensated, and I think that they bring a lot of credibility not only to the scene of the crime, but also to the contracts process. I think that we have overstated. We have part of the problem with the fire and police contract, in my opinion, is that we have not had, except for the last several months, a stay-at-home mayor. We've got mayors that want to be somewhere else, but they got to get there first, so they have to do their homework. They have to run around the country making speeches, and they have to play the Washington scene. And that's fine and well, and I'm proud of all those who serve in Washington, but quite frankly, the job's here. And if the mayor's not in the room, the city manager takes over. If the city manager takes over, she's not elected to anything. The mayor and the council are the bosses. Now they need guidance, they need professional assistance, and they should take it. And I'm one, as a lawyer, that believes in good professional guidance, but I will tell you, we cannot allow the mayor to be off gallivanting around while the city is adrift on such an important contract as fire and police to help our service station owners across the county.
Representative Mayoral.
Thank you. And the question was, how are we going to ensure that public safety and police protection is implemented in a way that all parts of town and all ethnic groups have protection. And I think for me, it really is an issue of community policing and ensuring that our police force is growing with our growing population so that we have the person power to deploy police officers so that response times are reasonable and nationally competitive across the board, every region of our city. I'm a big believer in community policing because before I ran for the Texas legislature 15 years ago, I was the vice president of my neighborhood association, and I saw firsthand how important it was to know who your neighborhood police officer was and to have them show up to your neighborhood association meetings and to really understand who the business owners were in your given corridor. So I think that's really important, but that is only possible if we have person power that is adequate for our large city. And so that's why we also need to get right this contract with our police officers and our firefighters. We need a budget that is affordable and that can grow with our growing population. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What the question is posed is a very, very important one and takes to heart what the makeup of San Antonio is. We're a very old city, almost 300 years old, with rich diversity. We have been known as the city that welcomes its arms to all immigrants. We know that in our heritage. Think about the areas of town that welcomed German and Irish and Italian. We're a community, like my family, of Tejanos, of people who were here way before we were the state of Texas. The Asian community, the Indian community, the Filipino community is a vibrant part of this city. Business owners, families. With respect to criminal justice, both from the enforcement, the prosecution, and that community policing must be colorblind, must absolutely respond in a manner that we are all citizens of this city. Now there are perceptions, and they are so. With that, the proud men and women in our police forces and our fire department need to understand that there are cultural differences that can be our strength. I know this firsthand. Working in a very diverse community as a business owner, understanding those traditions, understanding that our newest business owners and those that have that family work ethic are the strongest. They have their businesses open 7 days a week. And we need to make sure that all of our law enforcement treats all of our citizens with the same respect and dignity.
Great question. I believe that the most effective mayors in our country are those that recognize they can't act alone. They act most effectively when they're in partnership with other organizations, with civic leaders, business leaders in their community. And so in the area of education, I will continue what was started originally under Phil Harburger and then Mayor Castro, of reaching out to civic organizations and cultivating youth leadership programs like the one that is a part of the Asian American Association here in San Antonio. I'm going to brag on my wife, Jean Russell, who was a part of helping this organization form their youth leadership program. That needs to continue. And these kind of initiatives should never be sort of government acting alone. It should always be in partnership with your civic groups. That the concern of education is an interesting one. In our community, it is the top priority in every group, in every part of town. And the mayor is seen as the leader of our city. But the mayor actually has no formal authority over this area. has no formal authority over our schools, over our universities. And so it's really essential that if anyone is going to move the needle on education out of the mayor's office, it has to be through this approach of partnership. The program that is currently taking place, which represents, in my part, the most exciting thing on the local scene is something called San Antonio Works, SA Works. And it is industry-led, very important. It's based at the San Antonio Chamber of Commerce, and it is the creation of summer jobs, internships, apprenticeships for high school students, college students, and even adults who want to learn by doing, who want to acquire new 21st century skills. And we know that they acquire them best, not just in the classroom, but in the workplace. I will push that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that thoughtful question. I readily admit I'm the daughter of a retired school teacher. I'm the sister of a retired school teacher, 31 years in kindergarten. My sister is a saint. When I married Pete Van de Putte, he was a high school band director. Our family are full of teachers, educators, law enforcement, and veterans. But one thing I do know is our family is no different from all of the families that I know are here today. And that our dreams and hopes for our children is that they have better opportunities. And that begins with a solid education. My history, my leadership at the legislature has always been to convene, to use that power, and I would use it as mayor, to convene, to collaborate with our educational leaders. And that starts from our very youngest until postgraduate, to make sure that all of our children in San Antonio have those opportunities. And yes, we can do much, but we've got to want to. My grandmother only had a 3rd grade education, but she always gave us those dichos, you know, those little pearls of wisdom, and we honor our elders. She used to say, el que sabe que no sabe, sabe algo, which means if you know what you don't know, you know something. We live in a very complex world. We don't know everything. But as mayor, I would know how to convene, how to get the smartest people in the room so that we can collaborate and have an educational status for the children in this community that would lead to a productive workforce and a strong economy.
I am the proud grandson of a 3rd grade educated sharecropper in the Dust Bowl of Oklahoma. My father's father. My mother's father was a 1903 grad from MIT with his degree in mining engineering. It was a very great contrast in the lives that they both lived, and it was determined by education. No less so is it determined today by your education. Your education and the skill sets of those who are educated in this community determine where we go. The county played a role in health and justice. The city should play a role in making sure that we are a facilitator, a catalyst for education. I don't think we should replicate what the public education system or the other educational systems do. I think we should be helpful, we should facilitate, we should not duplicate. We should make sure that we're there to be their partners and make sure that they have neighborhoods where people can actually learn without being under such a state of duress owing to either drive-by shootings, drug dealing going on in the neighborhoods, or all kinds of other nonsense that tears at the fabric of neighborhoods and I think debilitates a child from being able to learn when they do go to school. So I think the city, when it's doing its job right, sets the foundation for how education can really take place.
Absolutely. And that's because there are so many people in the Asian community that are so well qualified. You see, it's not about filling a certain group, but it's about understanding the greatness and the skill set, the passion, and the knowledge that's right here in our Asian community. Tapping that expertise and coming and asking our Asian community to sit at the table where decisions are made. And that means in task force, that means on planning and zoning commission, that means not just in neighborhood groups, but in groups that will understand that we're all in this together. You know, I have worked for 34 years with amazing Asian American healthcare professionals, but I was taught by some of the best of them. I have had my small businesses located next door to Asian American small businesses. And for me, it's not about seeking them out. They're there, and anybody who thinks that there is not capacity in the Asian American community to fill those slots hasn't really looked at our Asian American community and the absolute strength that they bring to the city of San Antonio.
I believe that the best thing that we can do to support Asian American inclusion is to continue with the strength of the program that we started at the county that can be replicated at the city. Small minority women-owned businesses, making sure that they're a part of the boards and commission structure, making sure that they're in there. Many of these folks have come from a great aspirational quest for a much, much better life. And they have brought that ingredient, that dynamic to America that oftentimes I think among Americans can be lost because we've become somewhat comfortable. We have become somewhat dormant with respect to what we really could be doing with ourselves. And this injection of the new dynamic of people coming from diverse areas across the globe can indeed lift up this country, this community, and that's exactly why I thought the Small Minority Women-Owned Business Initiative of Bexar County was so critical to our well-being, and I believe it will be to the city. The county has led the process pretty much. Let's let the city take its proper role in making sure that everybody's included in their quest for the American dream.
The Asian American community is aspirational, entrepreneurial, and above all else, it values education. And we see that in the ranks of our doctors, scientists, leaders in IT, in terms of entrepreneurship. We see that in terms of the hotel industry, convenience stores, you know, from big to small and everything in between. Asian Americans are leading companies and advancing new ideas to strengthen our economy. And so absolutely, I am dedicated to finding the best, and I know that will be found in the Asian American community, to sit on the most important boards of our city: planning, zoning, Board of Adjustments, but also SAWS and CPS. So my commitment to you is to make sure that we appoint Asian Americans in all of these important boards.
First of all, thank you for that question. It's a very important issue and one that has dragged on for far too long, much longer than it should have. Without the active presence of the mayor at the outset, the city manager apparently thought to fill the perceived void of leadership and took a very adversarial position with the public safety associations from day one. That was a major mistake. These men and women in uniform are our friends, our families, and our neighbors, not our enemies. When San Antonio families are in a crisis, a child ingests poison, a worker on a job site gets seriously injured, a grandfather has a heart attack, a business gets robbed. These are the folks that we rely on to come to our aid. They are not civilian employees and should not be treated as civilian employees. The threat to the physical health and psychological health of first responders is not comparable with clerks and white-collar workers in any way, shape, or form. To be clear, public safety costs do not take up 66.4% of the budget. They take up 66.4% of the general fund, which is a smaller fund that makes up less than half the city's budget. And the actual percentage for public safety cost in the overall budget is about 30%. The solution to negotiations is very simple, and it's very easy. Bring in a federal mediator to determine which set of actuarial numbers should be used to make cost assumptions. Then we can compare the competing proposals on an apples-to-apples basis.